What's going on, ladies and DeGents? Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Distinguished DeGents podcast, your one and many home of degenerate gambling. Boy, oh boy, Money Mansman, the guy on the right, aka my co-host. I am Steve Big Bucks Beta. We got massively incinerated week 9. That is the title of the episode, of course. We didn't just incinerate the past. We didn't just incinerate bad bets. We just wiped the fucking hard drive with the amount that we consumed this weekend. Jesus effing Christ. The bottle of incinerator is almost already depleted. I don't know about you. I did not do great on my best bets. Didn't do that great overall. But Monty Mansman, when he visits the Abeta household here, tends to do good. So did that streak continue, sir?
Yeah, three weeks in a row up money. I'm cooking. I'm in a really good space. Although I don't know with getting incinerated over the weekend, watching the election coverage last night. I am running on E, so we'll see if I can make it 4 weeks in a row. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a quick hit. There are some games we really focused on. There were some games that were completely out of sight, out of mind, so kind of caught bits and clips of it, and still not too much to take away other than what's already been talked about this week in gambling. So we'll try to get those for you guys, and then we'll try to get through the rest. We'll try to get through to the Baltimore Bengals Thursday night football matchup. I'll bring up a couple points that we could talk about just to open the show up. The public, once again, on the popular side, they did once again for the third week in a row. Pretty sure that they went 9-6 once again. I could be wrong, but third week in a row they've been profitable. Public sides of 66% or more this year, or at least in the last 3 weeks. 17-0-1 ATS. Is the sharp side now the public side? Like, is being a sharp square the move going forward, or is this like an enigma? Is this a situation where sports betting has now just gotten more open to the point where things are just averaging out? I mean, what's your take that the public just a third week in a row?
Sometimes I feel like in the middle of the year, it always happens this way. I don't know if there's evidence of that, but it feels like middle of the year, the favorites start to win, and then the end of the year gets a little crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's I'm in a good run. It's 8-8 on the contest. You may have had too much incinerator and forgot that.
I remember.
I think I went maybe 13-1 on the money line, 12-2, something ridiculous again.
It was unreal because money line we did fine, but I got wiped on the spreads this week. So we are we are 10 weeks in and we are still tied going into the remainder of the year with our Kaser bet. But yeah, my only quick hit that I got as far as like the public, I think they're just starting to get a little sharper. I think that's possibly a part of it. I don't think the books can keep getting away with giving out some of these bad numbers. It just also seems like we talked about this with certain teams. They're just not keeping up with like the way that these teams have been performing as of lately. The Texans are a prime example. The Jets are another one. The Cowboys, like they're the Jets and the Cowboys are generally public sides with betting all the time for some reason, but just doesn't seem like they're keeping up with the league. It just seems like some of these numbers they're throwing. Not sure if they're trying to like throw us off or if they're just not paying attention. I'm just unsure. Detroit's another one. Weird spots where Detroit's laying like low numbers when they're clearly like the number 2 or even the number 1 team in the league right now. Debatably, just seems off to me. The last note I got for week 9, moneyline underdogs 1-14, big favorite week, which kind of went alongside side and side with most of your handicaps. Some of mine obviously missed, but big favorites week, I think, for another second week in a row. Is this like another mid-year trend, or is this like just, again, like we mentioned, faulty lines?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes weeks are more likely to go. I think there were just a lot of games with big lines. Kansas City,
Denver.
That was a bit unfortunate if you played the Tampa line. Denver, I think Baltimore might have been Denver, Baltimore. There were a couple games with some big lines, and favorites just seemed to, even the ones that like the Eagles didn't cover, but they found a way to win. Kansas City found a way to win. Buffalo found a way to win. Atlanta, it just seemed like even some of the favorites that didn't cover just eked out victories.
Yeah, the Bengals game was a big one too, where they were a big favorite. That looked close. We're going to get shortly into that. And actually, you know what? We'll go ahead and kick this off. We got 15 games to really quick hit and go through, so whatever we got is whatever we got here, folks. We'll start with my dog of the week. New England 20, Tennessee 23. Ended in an overtime bout. Drake May had the chance to go get the victory, fell short. Unfortunately, just this was the shit game of the week, but ended up being one of the more interesting shit games of the week, just given how bad Tennessee's defense kind of performed. But I think if you're a New England Patriot fan, you got something. If you're like me with the Broncos and Bo Nix, if you're a Patriots fan, you got something to look forward to in Drake May.
Yeah, you have to hope at least that it, like Bo Nix, if he gets a little bit of a better team in place, New England will be fine. This was one of the games where I got the contest spread and money line. I had Titans money line, Pats plus the 3.5. So double
there
whammy
you go.
for me.
Double whammy for you. I actually, you know what? I had it up. Let me see. What did I have ATS in this one? Because I'm pretty sure I picked New England, but not. Yeah, no, I picked New England on the spread, but I think I might have picked them on the money line too. So just one of the ones where trying to be different with you in the contest, unfortunately, this week just bit me in the ass.
Yeah, that was a bit unlucky, though.
And this was my dog of the week, too. I had a feeling Tennessee would underperform, but God, New England, they are just like literally in a tank develop mode. One week it's like they're developing, they're shining. Another week it's just like they're still dog shit and they're just unreliable. Unfortunate dog of the week. If I had any balls, I would have made this next game my dog of the week, but I avoided it for obvious reasons. I'm glad I did. Unfortunately, for the contest, it didn't do me any difference. 23-22 was the final in Carolina versus the New Orleans Saints. Dennis Allen is no longer the head coach of the Saints. Bye-bye, dipshit. He is the second head coach to be fired. It looks like the Saints office cleaned house, getting rid of a lot of the coaching staff as well. So Derek Carr has now gotten him fired twice midseason. Do you want to comment on that, or would you rather comment on the game itself?
Let's go with Dennis Allen. There's nothing to comment about this stupid game. Carr finds another way to lose, as always. Dennis Allen, 2 years too late. This guy was a bum. One of the worst ATS coaches in NFL history. Good riddance. You will not be missed, Dennis Allen. Good luck on the unemployment line. I can't think of a team that would hire you.
Maybe as another defensive coordinator, but not as a head coach.
Yeah, for like a Division II college team.
Don't worry, the Jets will hire him. It'll be fine.
Yo, if the Jets hire Dennis Allen to be their head coach next year, I would literally.
Yeah, and actually, again, this was a shit game, but this game also did bounce back and forth for a while. Saints had a late lead in the fourth, and then Chuba Hubbard got his second touchdown. They took the lead, never looked back with 2 minutes to go, and Derek Carr in the 2-minute drill just does Derek Carr things and chokes the game away. And the Panthers, and I even had a weird feeling this was the spot that, like, I even said, if you're going to ever bet the Panthers, this is the spot. This is when you do it. And I didn't do it. Why? What did I do in the contest? I picked the Saints 6.5 because I also said I don't like this under a touchdown. I had a feeling the Saints would win. It was just like, is this going to be some fluky backdoor cover bullshit? Well, it kind of was, but it was just for the Panthers to win the game outright. The only money line dog to hit for the week.
Backdoor money line dog.
Backdoor money line, and that door slammed Dennis Allen in the ass. Oh boy, we can skip this one if you want. Denver 10, Ravens 41. Baltimore bully beatdown.
I'm just gonna say I told you, and you go.
Yeah, no, I can eat it. You were right. No, the big learning lesson. You were 100% right about this spot for Denver. They've gotten away with beating a lot of shit teams for the past few weeks. They got away with the stupid Jet spot, and it finally came to bit them in the ass. And when they had to face up against a real AFC contender, real experienced head coach, this is what happened. Although Denver, to be fair, never really got off to the right start to begin with. They had literally the first throw Bo Nix had went right through fucking little Jordan Humphrey's hands, fucking interception to the Ravens. And that was just kind of the vibe for the Broncos whole game. It was just like they could never get on the right foot. They couldn't get the fourth down conversion. Sean Payton's and Joe Lombardi's play calling, we really need to start questioning this shit. They literally ran the same exact pitch on 4th and short that they did against, I think it was New Orleans, where the guy should have gotten tackled like 5 yards back. Which, first of all, on a 4th and short, why are you pitching the ball out and 5 yards back? Makes no fucking sense to me. We'll get into another coach here shortly when we get into 4th and short, but this was a bad Sean Payton coached game. Not necessarily bad Bo Nix performance. The interception, I can't blame him. Still, it's like this game solidified. We're probably not making playoffs. Denver's not. They're not going to be real contenders, but they're going to be the frisky team that's going to upset a lot of other guys later in the league, in my opinion. Oh boy, Raiders.
Real quick, I'm not selling on Denver. This was just a tough spot.
I'm slightly selling, not by much. I mean, maybe like in the power rankings, I think I maybe dropped them too, just because of how bad they lost, and they couldn't get anything going late. Unlike this team, this game, which I thought was interesting up until the end, Vegas Raiders 24, Cincinnati Bengals 41, sort of a phony final for me. Was really close going into late in the second quarter, and then I forget what happened. I think the Bengals got an interception or a fumble recovery. Drove the ball down, 2-minute drill, got a late score, take the lead by 7. They got the ball in the second half, and then they really just ran away with it, and it was 31-10, I think, for the longest time. And the game just sort of got out of hand. But yeah, a lot of turnovers. Joe Burrow had a great game at home against a really bad defense. Not much else to take away otherwise. The Raiders, they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, the Raiders are terrible. They fired their whole offensive staff, basically. Antonio
Pierce, though.
Maybe he wasn't a good hire after all. I don't know.
I guess not. I mean, he was a player's coach. I mean, he still got the job, so he must be doing something right. But yeah, I think if you're the Raiders, just start committing to the rebuild. I think they should have sold Max Crosby while they could have. Shocked they sort of didn't, but yeah, I guess Max Crosby is going to be a Raider for life.
Maybe so.
All right. This was one of your best handicaps, so I'm going to let you go in on this one. Chargers 27, Browns 10. Chargers were a 1.5-point favorite. They easily covered that. Jameis Winston fell back to earth. We kind of caught bits and clips of this game. Yeah, this was probably your best handicap, and I think you convinced me out. You convinced me off of the Cleveland Browns angle too, and I'm actually glad you did, because this actually was one of the reasons I saved myself some money this week.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week for big bucks. Maybe a little bucks.
We'll go through the final numbers at the end. What I will say is that Monday night helped, could have been better.
Oh, that's
Could have
good.
been better.
Yeah. So not much to say here. Cleveland was coming off their Super Bowl, and the result was expected. You have a well-coached team. I think Harbaugh, I think he has a good record going west to east. Even back in his Niners days, I think they were pretty good at that. And yeah, it was a perfect spot. Chargers, I think, were coming off weak game against New Orleans, well-coached team against a team coming off their Super Bowl, and especially too with the Browns going into the bye, this letdown was completely expected. And Jameis, I mean, he remembered who he was. He needs more LASIK surgery.
Yeah, Jameis 26 for 46, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Meanwhile, I will say the biggest takeaway for this game for me was the Chargers offense in this spot. Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, wait, there's the team stats. 342 yards of total offense, 246 of that in the air. Normally, this is a team, they love to be a run first. They love to feed the ball to J.K. Dobbins, it seems like this year. So I think it was a breath of fresh air to see Justin Herbert be able to air the ball out. He went 18 for 27, 282, 2 touchdowns. Both of which one to Quentin Johnson, one to Joshua Palmer. So I think the Harbaugh, if he's able to utilize this offense in this way more often, I think they'd be a lot more successful, and I think a lot more people wouldn't be so scared to bet on them. They're laying 7.5 next week against the Titans. We'll get into that Friday to see which side we want to take, but that's kind of already looking like one of another best bet where it's like a 7.5 too low. We'll find out.
Yeah, tough one. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Miami 27, Buffalo 30. Get your Tyler Bass jerseys out, ladies and gentlemen. My man here kicked a 61-yarder and had Money Man's running all around my living room, damn near shirtless. What a game. That was completely unexpected for the Miami side, but as the Bills fan who had to endure that pain, give us your thoughts and concerns with your Bills.
Yeah, I think that game got me incinerated because that was a struggle, that game.
Yeah.
God, Tyler Bass. Props to Tyler Bass. I hate to say it. I mean, he missed that extra point, and I was done. I was like, get this guy off the fucking team. We've been saying it for weeks. And then for him to, and, the importance of that win cannot be overstated. I mean, that is a borderline division clinching win. I mean, I think right now you're 4.5 games ahead of the Jets. Miami's toast because you have the tiebreaker. So you've essentially ended Miami's chances at the division. The Jets' hopes for the division are on life support. I mean, that was basically a division clinching win. So importance can't be overstated. Bills didn't play their best game, but they find a way to beat Miami again. Josh Allen, give this guy an MVP already. He's the real fucking deal.
You think Josh Allen deserves the MVP after that game? I believe he had a pick in that one too. So 2 weeks in a row now he's thrown an interception. I'm not going to say the first.
Be realistic. Tell the audience how the pick occurred. Tell them what happened.
I can't remember. I ain't going to lie to you. I know it was bad. It wasn't his fault.
It goes the pass to Keon Coleman. It goes
and it went through his hand.
Hits him in the
went straight through his hands.
And there's Jalen Ramsey interception.
That's right. Yeah, it was a bad, sort of like the Bo Nix throw, right in through his hands, right in the shoulder pad, just straight to the defender.
Josh Allen has 2 interceptions. The first one, Amari Cooper slipped. The second one, the ball went through his hands, hit him in the shoulder pad. Those are Josh Allen's interceptions this year. Let that.
Yeah, I will say, like, normally for this Bills team who was losing these kinds of games, the Bills who were losing the games that had to go to overtime and shit, yeah, all I can say is that the Bills are, like, weirdly turning around, but they're not covering the big numbers. We got Aaron and Sarah. Thanks for commenting, guys. Yeah, Josh Allen. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Mansman's
absolutely.
boy here.
Yeah, Josh Allen's the GOAT. He is very most they said the most overrated player in the league. This guy I think is the most underrated player in the league. If you watch the Bills games, what this guy does, I mean, no Amari Cooper, no one getting open. He just finds a way, and the Bills are going to be a tough team to bet against pretty much every week while he's on the field.
So my last comments on the MVP race. Allen to me feels like how Christian McCaffrey was, I think it was last year, where you look at the numbers and McCaffrey just had a career season. You could have made the argument he should have got it, and it just wasn't even close because he's not a quarterback. This feels like Josh Allen probably has the numbers, probably will have the wins, but between Lamar Jackson also having the wins and having already beaten him, and Mahomes just being undefeated, I don't think Mahomes will get close to MVP, but I just think there's going to be some stupid bullshit narrative that they're not going to give it to him. The question is, I don't know who, though, because I don't know if you can give it to Lamar for a third year in a row.
I mean, he shouldn't have gotten it last year, strangely enough. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Bills Chiefs game, I got to say that's bold, but you could make the argument that
if he stays healthy.
That is not a bad take at all. I can't fault that take.
I'd say Jane Daniels. He's clearly going to get offensive rookie of the year. So
that's
sorry for the
problem. Yeah, that's the problem with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, for Bo Nix bettors like myself for rookie of the year, that's not going to pan out. But that's what next year's for. All right, your best bet: Atlanta Falcons -3. They covered and beat the Dallas Cowgirls once again, 27-21. This was your best bet. But this game, Jesus Christ, the downfall of the Dallas Cowboys really needs to be studied. I know that that's all they talk about on First Take and ESPN, much to my demise and fucking hatred. Almost just as bad as the election coverage was this year, but yeah, I personally just think that Dallas's coaching needs to go. But it was a significant downgrade from what they had in years past. Aaron said, fire McCarthy. Yeah, we'll see. But that needs to be the move.
Agree. I think McCarthy's worn out his welcome. And now you look, Dak Prescott may be out for a few weeks. They basically have a season-defining game against the Eagles. Am I correct about that?
Oh, no, their season's over. Their season's done.
Yeah, they're
Dak's
done.
out.
I think you got a clean house. Their running backs are too old. This team's prime has passed.
Well, did you hear that Ezekiel Elliott was literally skipping team meetings and practices? And I think he got suspended for conduct detrimental to. No, the conduct was his fat ass fucking not putting down the fork 2 seasons ago. That was detrimental, but they didn't fire. And honestly, too, this is why McCarthy needs to go. You look at how the Cowboys did with Dan Quinn at DC, and you look at them now, it is just fucking night and day. You look at them under Kellen Moore, which I know me and we used to make fun of him all the time. But Dak, for some reason, just did not seem to either make as many mistakes, or he was able to make up for it with the points he was getting in garbage time to at least make it look more competitive. But now it's just even in the garbage time, he can't fucking do anything anymore. It is just the regression has hit them like a fucking freight train to me.
Yeah, and Atlanta's Cowboys defense actually showed a bit of fight in this game. And it didn't matter. The offense couldn't keep up, couldn't hack it. So Atlanta clearly the better team. That was my easy bester there. So I'll take it.
You take the wins where you get them. Glad I followed you on that one. All right, Washington 27, Giants 22. So the good news is Daniel Jones finally threw a touchdown at MetLife Stadium. He in fact threw for 2. Weird stat line. He had a touchdown in the first half. No passing yards, though. Is that not the most Daniel Jones thing you've ever fucking heard? Besides him losing to the Commanders at home.
I don't know for the life of me how Daniel Jones is still. There's no reason to continue to play him. if he gets injured, you're going to be on the hook for his contract next year. I'm shocked the Giants haven't benched him. This was another one that to me just you looked at the number. It was I think Washington -3.5, -4, and then
it got up to 4.
Then they wonder why every favorite won. I mean, that just seemed too easy.
It did, and normally these teams play a lot closer. And I think the argument the last time they played earlier this year was that the Giants didn't have a kicker, but if they had one and they could just kick the extra points or kick a field goal in those spots, they probably win. But I mean, a lot of people also kind of forget with how well Jaden Daniels is playing. He's still a rookie. His first 2 weeks, I think, were the Giants and the Tampa Bay Bucks in Tampa. Like earlier in the year when we thought those, and to be honest, looking back, you kind of have to wonder if those are good losses or not, or good wins. But tough competition, but Jaden Daniels, honestly, he stayed the course. He's just looking better and better. If he went 15 for 22, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, which is, I think, the key difference with all the other rookies this year.
QBR of 96. 100 is the best you could do. And that shows you.
Yeah. Daniel Jones literally bringing his offense down. That's one way to put it. Yeah. Oh, what's Tyrone Tracy? I know you picked him up in fantasy. What did you make of his performance this week? I think he was supposed to be some stub. He only got 66 yards.
Coming off the concussion, it's not horrible. I think he's someone to look forward to for the future. But, I mean, you have no passing offense. You have a guy at halftime who literally had 1 touchdown, 0 passing yards in an NFL half of football where they throw penalties every 5 seconds if a receiver gets sneezed on. Thank God we're doing the rapid fire. I could have had a 30-minute rant about the refs and that Bills Dolphins. But we'll move on.
Yeah, no, we had to skip that. But last comment, Daniel Jones. And the Giants are laying 5.5 next week in Germany, which I think is going to be probably punishment for World War II and 1945 in general. But against the Panthers, who are coming off of a win, do you have any idea why?
How could the Giants be laying like anything, anywhere, ever? I mean,
yeah.
You want to bet the Giants? You want to be a clown? Good luck to you, buddy. Not me. I can't. I cannot lay anything with this team right now.
They are on my auto fade list right now. They've lost and failed to cover, I think, like 4 straight now. So, yeah, that just goes to show. If you want to bet the Giants to be a Donko this week, good luck. It won't be us.
Yeah, we're not endorsing. There's other games, trust me. Plenty of other opportunities.
All right. We're into the 4:00 slate. Jesus Christ. Chicago 9. Arizona Cardinals 29. This was not a game we really paid attention to, primarily because we got incinerated. We got fucked up by this point. Thought we were in recovery, but really we were just pretty much just kind of riding the wave at this point. But
yeah, we were
holy fuck, what was I thinking picking the Bears in this spot? Like, I'm trying to look back, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Because I picked Arizona, and every time I play an Arizona game, I lose. But not this time. Not this time. I was on the right side for this game.
Yeah, I mean, and the Bears had won and covered 4 straight against the NFC West. That's now dead. Cardinals, normally bad at home. I think they've won 3 straight now. They're like, again, we mentioned how they were like a frisky team under this new head coach last year. And it just seems somehow
Gannon got him taking the bus. You know, he wants killers.
All right, so Aaron and Sarah want to know, why does Kyler Murray forget that Marvin Harrison Jr. exists 99% of the time? Well, the same reason that he forgot about fucking DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's what is he, 5'7"? Call of Duty came out this week, which kind of goes to show, if you look at his stat line, I mean, he's probably coming off another double XP weekend. Where,
By the way, I said I was going to do this last week. I owe an apology to Mr. Murray. I apologize to Mr. Kyler Murray. I apologize for making fun of you all those years. You are a legitimate NFL quarterback. Thank you for the victory last week. Now, yeah, why he really should throw to Harrison more. I mean, look at what the Giants do. Like Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones, he's terrible, but he just, Malik Neighbors is out there somewhere. Let me just chuck.
He's hucking it to him. He's trying. I honestly,
a few times where he'll throw to him in the first quarter, and then like Harrison's gone. It's like Harrison has his like quarter of football, and then he's just out of the offense. That's a good point. I don't know why he does that. It makes no sense.
I don't either. The only thing I could think of is that this was a pure game script type of situation. I mean, you look at the rushing stats from this game. Yeah, Kyler Murray ran twice, which was also shocking. But James Conner, 18 carries, 100 yards. When's the last time you ever saw him do that as a Cardinal ever? Couldn't tell you. Amari Demercado,
they've had a
back
pretty
up.
decent running game.
Well, they have had a decent game, but they've never always been able to utilize it. Like Demercado getting a touchdown. Haven't heard that name since last season on the waiver wire. Trey Benson, he got a rushing touchdown too. So it just seemed like that the Bears, for as good as their defense was supposedly going to be, couldn't stop the fucking run. And there was nothing that like they could do, just stop them on the ground. So Kyler didn't have to throw. And I think that kind of goes to show that like, if Kyler doesn't have to air the ball out and make stupid Josh Allen pretend hero balls, they're going to get victories like this all the time against, decent NFC teams. I don't know if they'll go to the Super Bowl, but they're going to keep winning if they do specific game scripts.
They're in play for the division. And last point on this game, we talked about the difference in competition. We talked about the difference in competition between the Cardinals and the Bears, and maybe the Bears defense playing against I would put Arizona probably slightly above average now. I mean, the way they're playing, they're moving up the line. That's for sure.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I think Arizona, who do they play next to? Oh, they host the Jets in what many sharp bettors are actually anticipating to be the game of the week. So interested to get your takes when we go over that on Friday. But we got to move on. We got only 5 games left, I think. Eagles 28, Jags 23. Holy fuck. How does Nick Sirianni get away with these victories? How does this man fail so bad at being an aggressive head coach? 3 missed 2-point conversions. Jake Elliott throws him out there for a Tyler Bass attempt for 61 yards, except Elliott doinks it off the upright, missed it. So Eagles don't get the cover, but they get the win. They were up, I think, like 17-0 at one point. And then literally like that, the Jags were back. Now they're laying 7.5 against Dallas. And early sharps are heavy on Dallas this week. But I just think...
Okay.
Here's what I'll say. I think the Eagles, as much as that is a failure where they can't convert, they are still winning games. They are leading the division, or they're neck and neck right now with the Commanders. It's one of those things where, like, I think you can yell at Nick Sirianni. It's like, he's so wrong, he's right. Like, he's aggressive at the wrong times, and even when he fails, he somehow gets away with it. And it's just, like, going in his way. They just seem like a very lucky team, and I'm wondering when that luck is going to catch up.
Yeah, they just play some ugly games. It was just an ugly game. They were fine. They gave up a score with 4 minutes left in the game. So a little bit of a phony score. They were pretty much 70% to win the game for most of the third and fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. How well has that worked for us when we had 95%ers to win? How well has that done?
Oh, don't remind me of the 95%ers. That only I found a way to lose like 3 99% games in like 3 weeks. That was crazy. But anyway, moving on.
Okay, moving on. What do we got next? Oh, the Lions 24, Lions 24, Packers 14. Pretty sure. Oh, this was not my best bet. This was number 3, I think, for me. Why were the Sharps on Green Bay here? Didn't like this was the letdown spot that I had anticipated for Green Bay. Detroit really wasn't even all that phenomenal. But God, they just looked like night and day teams. They just looked. One team showed up to play, another team was like there. And Green Bay has now become little brother.
Well, Jordan Love playing hurt again. And I told you, if Jordan Love played, the line was going to go down in favor of Green Bay. Green Bay was going to take some money, and I was going to bet the Lions again. And it went down to less than 3, and I bet the Lions again and won because, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the Lions are a very public team, and the Sharps always want to fade the Lions. But let's be honest, right now in a lot of power rankings, Kansas City 1, Detroit 2. Detroit has earned it. They are one of the best teams in football, and they're playing like it. Even without Hutchinson, and I think they just traded for someone. I forgot offhand who they traded for, but
they got oh God, who did they get? Not Jadeveon Clowney. No,
I'm gonna
Zadarius Smith. It was Zadarius Smith.
That's who it was, Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there wasn't too much to take away because, again, like we kind of had the handicap and we pretty much nailed it. It was like, why are we betting on an injured Jordan Love with this groin injury at home in the rain? And it was like, that was every reason that I think Sharps were like dating Jared Goff and this Lions. They were just like, well, it's Jared Goff in the elements. It's him outside. It's him in the rain. And it's like, have they not seen for the last 4 weeks Sonic and Knuckles, like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery? He doesn't have to throw it as much anymore. He literally gets to hand the ball off to 2 of the fucking top stud running back duos in the league. And even when he does have to throw, I think he's had like 30-something straight throws to Amon-Ra St. Brown that have all been caught and completed. Do you know how impossible that is nowadays? Like,
I know he's getting to be Khalil Shakir numbers. It's crazy. And look, I mean, the Packers, we've talked about it. They beat Houston by 2. They beat Jacksonville by 3.
They didn't cover either of those games.
I mean,
and it was like,
it was due. They were due. Packers were due.
It seemed like a fluky number. And now we're getting this again with the Lions next week. Sunday Night Football going to Houston, and it's 3.5. And I'm like, wait a minute, Nico Collins is back. Maybe that's it. Like, we're just gonna go run to Houston.
I gotta see the Texans' offensive line. That's what I gotta see.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems so fucking weird and off. I couldn't for the life of me. I couldn't understand the line last week. I don't understand it for this week. It just seemed weird, but it was a good game. They covered. They got me some money back. Profitable. Finally, we got the LA Rams 26, Seattle 20 in overtime. Rams were my best bet. They were my favorite of the week. That was a sweat like a motherfucker, though. Did not look good in the first half. I am not going to lie to you. 1 o'clock completely fucking ate me alive. Wasn't in a good mood for 4 o'clock, but we watched the Rams in overtime. They pulled it off. That's the good news. The bad news is now next week they're hosting the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and they're laying 2.5. I don't know if I could do this shit again, but I'm just glad my best bet came through. That really was my takeaway. Puka Nacua got ejected off of bullshit, like, scrap, because, he knew the play was over, the other guy didn't, and something that could have just been a 15-yard penalty and let it go. You took away the Rams, one of the biggest weapons they had, and you kind of saw it affect them throughout the game. Although early in the half, I mean, Geno Smith was cooking. He was airing the ball out. And the Rams defense, once again, kind of a no-show. So I think regression's coming. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I don't. The NFC West continues to be an enigma for me. Although I did pick the Rams. I had a feeling the Rams were going to win, but that was one of those NFC West ugly, confusing football games. And I actually thought Seattle was going to win the game, and they just they found a way to lose. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha. All right. Sunday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings 21, the Colts 13. Well, why would I bet the Vikings on the pre-line when, I had a bankroll? When I could just wait till game time and I'm down 10 units and I could put 5 more units on the Vikings and 250 yards for Sam Darnold and put in a parlay to double up and maybe try to get some money back. Why would I do that pre?
Did it hit?
It did hit, but yeah, guys, discipline is the key. When you get incinerated, don't be afraid to hide your phone because my degenerate ass was just like, you know what? I don't want to lose by this big, but if I'm going to lose by big, I might as well keep losing. So let's try to minimize this deficit. It came through.
In the night, you were really fucking frosty. Let's just say that.
That's a one way to put it. There is not just a quarter bottle of Incinerator left. There's a quarter bottle of tequila. It was, someone should have took my phone, but I digress. Yeah. It hit. That's the good news. So the good news, Joe Flacco came back to life. We remembered why he's a backup quarterback. Bad news, Sam Darnold threw another 2 picks. This was a fucking horrendous Sunday Night Football game. This was probably the worst one on the year that I think I've seen. Why is it always Minnesota, too, on Sunday Night Football? Every Minnesota game I've seen, it's just bad.
Yeah, and it just felt like one of those games where no matter what, like Minnesota tried to give it away, but no matter what they did, you just never felt like the Colts could do anything on offense. And I guess it was expected. Minnesota had a couple bad performances. They were coming back home after a long rest. Kind of seemed like a good spot for them. So that was another play that thankfully I didn't change because I was on that.
Yeah, I mean nothing happening on offense for the Colts. Gotcha.
You go ahead. I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Yeah, nothing happening for the Colts, unfortunately. 6 for 60 for Josh Downs, their lead receiver. Jonathan Taylor, 13 carries, 48 yards. Yeah, Joe Flacco regression was just stronger than the Vikings right now. My concerns moving forward for the Vikings, they've had a lot of close games, some of which they've lost. Really, ever since the Jets game in London, where they barely got away with beating the Jets there. They came back home. They had to play the Lions in a very heavy back and forth battle where they did get the victory there. They then had the Thursday night game where they pretty much got romped by the Rams, but they had a chance to come back at the last minute. And unfortunately, just one face mask away didn't happen. And then it happened again here in this fucking Colts-Vikings game. And now they're going back on the road to the Jags. It's a lot of back and forth, it seems like, lately. So the Vikings, I'm pushing them down a notch or two in my power rankings. I'm just going to leave it at that. And here comes Money Mansman. He's back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the final game here, unless Mansman has any final thoughts on the Vikings-Colts.
No, go ahead.
All right. 30-24 was the final in overtime. Tampa Bay does get the cover, 9.5. The Kansas City Chiefs are still undefeated, but in an ugly rain game for the Chiefs, I gotta say, a lot of sports media, a lot of people out there are giving Todd Bowles some shit. They're saying he should have went for 2 when the Bucs had the chance to tie it. Instead, Todd Bowles opts for the safe route and goes for overtime. And I wanted to say, I think it was the Bet US team, Vegas Chris and Steve Fezzik. They also kind of said that, like, look, you were down 30 seconds and you had the chance to beat Mahomes in Kansas City and you opted to go to overtime with less than 30 seconds to go. If it was more than a minute and a half, that would make sense. But with less than 30 seconds, what the hell were you thinking? I'm not sure what to say because it's like, this is a game. I just had the whole feeling the whole time the Chiefs were just going to find a way to win. You just didn't know how, but you never got the sense that once kickoff happened, they were going to cover.
My thinking is always, are you the team that wants more variance? Meaning, let's say Tampa Bay and Kansas City played each other 100 times. Mm-hmm. What percentage of the time is Kansas City going to win?
I think they were minus 400. So what is that, like 80%?
80%?
We'll just say 80.
If you're only going to be Kansas City 20% of the time, you want to increase the variance. And that's something Dan Campbell was really good at, especially when, like, the Lions sucked. He would go crazy, go for it on fourth down all the time, fake punts. And why would he do that? Because he knew his teams were always underdogs. So in order to win, you need to create some, like, high variance plays because you know in a straight fight you're not going to beat them. And sure enough, what happens? They go to overtime. Kansas City scores, game over. So
yeah, score a touchdown
move by Todd Bowles. Let's be honest, we've seen that before.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, so I had a couple prop plays on the Kansas City game that did come through for me. So I had the Chiefs money line and the over on the total. This was my over of the week, so I had the over in this game. That came through for a 2-unit return. Had a 2.5-unit return on the money line and the over. I was a 2-yard reception touchdown for Travis Kelce away from hitting a Kelce anytime touchdown. That would have brought me back another 3 units. That unfortunately didn't cash. Mahomes had a late interception dropped by the Bucks, where if he had just caught that would have been, I think I had that plus money, so that would have been another unit return. So I literally was just, like, unfortunately, like, 2 plays away from having some serious bankroll back, but unfortunately they didn't come through. Chiefs didn't cover. I didn't bet that, but part of me was going to. I'm glad I didn't. Mahomes over 250.5. That came through, so that was another. So literally ended the week. I was down 10 units, go into Monday night. Now I'm only down 6. So
yeah, not bad.
Could have been worse. Not the week I wanted, but had to minimize the losses in some capacity. Unfortunately, late in the game, I didn't have to hedge, but I did hedge the total because it went to 43.5. And I think the total was at 41, and it was literally a field goal away from breaking. And I was like, I could get middled, but the Bucks are literally, and the Chiefs are each literally a stop away from this game being over. Neither team did it, and it went to overtime, and it was 20-20, it was 20-20, and I was like, all right, well, as long as it's not a field goal, I guess I'll be okay. But if it's a touchdown, or was it 24-30? I forget the fucking score, but it was. I got to a point where it was like I had already hit the total, so
I didn't watch that much of the game, so that one I really did. I needed to recover. I've been doing a lot of recovery.
We had a lot of recovery.
Oh, by the way, I finally got a good run. I got to tell you, I had an alt spread like parlay with Baker Mayfield, 200 plus passing yards. He got 200 yards exactly. Finally, one goes my way. But
all right, if it hits, it hits.
We have 11 minutes to 8:30. Let's do the Ravens game quick.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's a good segue. We'll get into that. I'll give them my final numbers at the very end. But we're on to a new week. It's week 10. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, who are a 2-point road or 2 2-1 road dog. Ravens minus 255 home favorite with the 6.5 points on the spread. Over under is now set at a whopping 53.5 points. And according to FanDuel, where we got these odds, oh, and I lied, it's not minus 102, it's plus 102 for the Ravens minus 6.5. Interesting line movement. Ravens are getting 51% of the money, but the Bengals are getting 53% of the bets on the spread right now. Ravens are a dead ball over team, so maybe that explains the total. Who went first last week? Shit. I'm trying to think.
Maybe because it was my dog play.
That's right. So now it's my go week for Thursday Night Football. Okay, so you know me. I like primetime Lamar Jackson. He's back once again, and it's Thursday Night Football, not the bullshit NBC Peacock Thursday Night Football, but it's the Amazon Prime one. I could be the sucker and just say that Division Road Dogs are now 4-11 straight up, but they're 7-7 and 1 ATS. Situationally for Cincinnati, this to me just looks like a bad sandwich spot where they came off that big home win against the Raiders that literally fired their offensive coordinator after the game. They now have back-to-back road spots with this starting on Thursday Night Football. And then the week after, they have a look ahead to Sunday Night Football where they have to go to LA and then take on the Chargers. Teams don't tend to cover on the look ahead to Sunday Night Football. They're only 7-9 ATS this year. Cincy has covered on the road so far this year, but I think this is a spot you look at like you said, look at variances, look at who they played. They were favorites against Carolina, the New York Giants, and the Browns literally 2 weeks ago when Deshaun Watson was still playing. And then week 2, they played against the Chiefs, and that was arguably their best cover as a 6-point dog. But they literally did that against the one fucking team in the NFL that could give zero fucks about covering a spread. And meanwhile, you look at Baltimore, they are 3-1 ATS as home favorites. They just had the Broncos beat down last week. That really took minimal effort. They did a beatdown to the Buffalo Bills earlier in the year on Sunday Night Football. And I say 3-1 ATS, but this is the one that kind of comes up as questionable. But it was the 7-point victory against the Commanders that I think if you had bet under 7, that was a backdoor cover. If you had bet 7 or over, it was either a push or you lost. So their one bad loss to the Raiders in week 2. I've said it before. Ravens in 1 o'clock. They don't tend to be as good. I think Baltimore just needs to nail this spot to secure the division at this point, or at least get back in the running. Because I think if Baltimore loses another division game, and then with the look ahead to Pittsburgh, they're looking at wild card at best. Like, as great as the Ravens have been playing, their record doesn't necessarily support that. So this is like a must-win for Baltimore to me. Cincy, 1-4 straight up, 3-2 ATS in Baltimore since 2019. They failed to cover 5 straight against Baltimore now. I'm just going to trust Lamar Jackson as this Thursday Night Football home favorite. So I'm going with the Ravens. I know 6.5 is a lot, but I'm just trusting the spot.
Yeah, I kind of go the same way as you, and I'm not going to give an overly long handicap here. Looks like Ravens have covered at least 5 straight against Cincinnati. You may have already said that. Yeah, I think it's Ravens or nothing here. The look ahead to Pittsburgh does concern me a bit, but it is. You know, there is a long break in between. This is a home Thursday night game. I think Baltimore's won 8 straight Thursday night games at home. So this favors the Ravens. We know primetime Lamar is good. And you know, I don't think Cincinnati's that good. I've been fading them all year. So just based on the power rankings alone, I think under a touchdown, I think you got to look at Baltimore or nothing. So that's my play, Baltimore or nothing.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then as far as its over-under goes, It's gone up, but I do lean on the over here. It's hit in 7 of the last 8 matchups between these two teams. And I think if the Raiders defense was able to put up 20 plus, we're going to get essentially maybe a rematch with the Bengals and the Ravens here. The Ravens defense could still be suspect. I know they just picked up someone in the trade deadline that could help them, but the Bengals defense didn't necessarily impress me last week with the Raiders. The Ravens they just proved last week they could throw up 40 on their own. They've done it multiple times alone this year. They did it the last time they played in Cincinnati. So high total for Thursday Night Football, but I like the favorite. I like the over here.
Okay. All right. Why don't you and I lean to the over as well. I think we saw Baltimore's pass defense is not good. T. Higgins is doubtful for the game, so that could be a bit of a blow for Cincy's offense. Isaiah Likely's out for the Ravens. But not that the Ravens don't have other
they got Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I think I like the over in this game too. All right, quick, give out your numbers and then let's call it a night.
Yeah, I'll give out the final numbers. Best bets last week for week 9. I went 2-3. I hit my best bet and my over of the week once again. I've been really good on the overs this year. I'm actually 6-2 on the season. Or sorry, I'm what the heck? Why is it not updating? Sorry, I'm 7-2 this year. My best bet 6-3. Everything else has gone 4-5. Finally, I went. Oh god, I didn't even update those numbers. So let me see if I can throw this real quick. So let's add 7 to 8 to that. So 69, 65-4 ATS this season.
Those aren't bad numbers.
Oh, no, I meant for my best bets. No, 69, 65-4. I mean, it's not 55%, I think, but we're getting terrible there.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's better than I have to look at my numbers, but that'll be for another day. Fair
enough. All right, I'm going to go ahead.
The tank is on E.
Yeah, I can hear that. I got nothing left here, so I'm doing a 1.5 bet on the Ravens -6.5 at +100. So like them at this touchdown, we both endorse. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it. Yeah. Live bet. Endorse. There it is. All right, I got nothing left. Thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you check us out at x.com/DeGents podcast. Check us out Friday when we give out our Week 10 handicaps and predictions. We'll give out our best bets for that as well. Check us out 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I am Steve, Big Bucks of Beta.
Money Man's been signing off, and as always,
go in and make that motherfucking money.